For this project, we're going to demonstrate movement as an art principle. And movement doesn't mean to literally move. It means to make the viewer, whoever's looking at the art, have their eyes move across the picture, follow a path through the picture. Okay? So movement is the eyes moving across the picture. And you can make this happen with focal points and having emphasis in different spots. So there's a few ways. I've made a few little examples. So here I've got kind of a map looking thing, and I've drawn a very bold line that goes across the whole image. And so the movement here is that your eyes are drawn to this bold line that move across the picture. Now you'll notice for these that because we speak English and we write and read English, are more likely to look at the left side of the picture first and then move towards the right, because that's how we read. If you haven't learned to read yet, or if you speak a language or read a language that goes from right to left, you don't do that, or you look at it a different way. So that's kind of interesting. A part of your movement in your picture has to do with where people look at the picture first. So top left is usually where people kind of start looking at something, and then their eyes move across, following whatever emphasis that you have. So for me, I've made this bold line, and so your eyes are more likely to kind of latch onto that and look at the stuff around it as it goes through the picture. So another example, this time with color, because I wanted to kind of show you that this works across all artwork. So I've made a little river here, and this river is giving us strong movement through the picture. So our eyes kind of go across, they focus on my focal point, which is the little bunny in the middle, which is very different, contrasting from the rest of my picture, and they kind of follow across. We've got these trees back here, which you might think would give some emphasis because they're very detailed compared to, like, you know, just this plain ground. But because they are such a uniform pattern of trees where they are repeating, they are less emphasized than the very different bunny or even the little stones around the river. So whenever you look at the picture, think about where naturally you looked first and where your eyes go to. So you looked at this picture. Did you think about where you looked first and why? Usually people, again, if you read English, you would start up here in the top left, and our most natural thing to look at is going to be the faces. So what my eyes usually do is go to this face, and then the moon is another point of emphasis that kind of repeats that circle sort of face idea. And so we end up with a movement in this sort of V shape across the picture. And I've done some other things to kind of help with that. I've got his arm going up with a little flower, and so it leads our eyes to look, and then I've got his other arm pointing towards the moon. And so I have this whole sort of sweeping movement that our eyes naturally do. I'm reflecting it in the bushes, in the shape of the pattern on this balcony, in the way that her arms and the clouds are both horizontal. We've got this kind of movement that our eyes naturally do across the picture. So all pictures are going to have some form of movement. It just matters if the artist intended for it or if they plan to make those movements. So things that our eyes are going to naturally go to are faces and words and points of emphasis. Okay, so we're going to make ourselves a movement picture by making 3 focal points across our page and forcing a path that people will have to look at. So I'm just going to make 3 shapes. One over here, one up here, and one over here. Now, in the very simplest of terms, this is already 3 points of emphasis on a negative space, 3 positive space on negative space, and our eyes are naturally going to follow that path. I want to make it more interesting and kind of show that pattern can still be negative space, and that you can really enforce the emphasis and in the movement. So inside each shape, I'm gonna just kind of make another littler shape just to add a little more detail, because again, extra detail helps people focus on an area, adds emphasis. Okay, and so now I'm gonna make the path with actual lines that I'm gonna kind of be trying to force their eyes to follow. So I'm going to make some lines that lead to my first shape and go off the page. And make some that lead to the next shape. So you can already kind of see this path that you're naturally looking at. It's more interesting than just looking at the blank corner of the page, right? And I'm going to finish it off by going off the page. Okay, careful not to get on the table. Okay, so now our eyes naturally follow this design that we've made. I've made a path that people are going to look at and go from emphasis point to emphasis point. I'm even going to put a few little, just like lines or shapes, kind of beef up my focal points. So now the background, I want it to be very clear that negative space doesn't have to be literally nothing. So I'm going to make a pattern back there. You can do whatever pattern you want. I'll just do a simple checkerboard. So then you can color this however you want. You can really use the colors to help the emphasis, and that will make it even more stand out. But the movement's there. It should stand on its own no matter how you color this. So I'm going to go ahead and color it, and we'll see how it looks when I'm done. Okay, so here is our movement picture, where we've made 3 points of emphasis and our eyes move across the picture, following the path that we've made. Bye.